So we started asking ourselves the basic questions. So first, what is the definition of compassion? Right? Very basic question. What are the neural correlates of compassion? How does it show up economically? And so on and so forth. So that's the direction that we went to. Step 3. Step 3 is that meditation has to become part of modern daily living. And there's also a historical precedence for that. And the precedence is exercise. And if you look at the history of exercise, I mean, today we take it for granted. But if you look at the history of exercise, it wasn't always obvious that exercise was good for you. Right? In fact, even back a couple of decades ago, when I was growing up, like 30 years ago, like exercise was a bit strange. Right? You see some guy falling on a jog, and, who's that guy? Right? It's a little bit strange, right? Even back then. And the story goes all the way back to 1927. 1927 was the year a lab in Harvard was started. It was called the Harvard Fatigue Lab. And the story behind this was there were a bunch of scientists who had this idea, or I call it a conspiracy. This conspiracy, they want to study exercise. And the reason they want to study exercise is because they are themselves athletes, and they know from inside their heart, they know this is good for people. But there's no proof, right? So they want to prove that exercise is good for you. Strangely enough, from today's point of view, they could not get any funding. Right? It's like, if you go back to that time, the mindset from that time, it's like, why would respectable scientists want to waste their time studying exercise? Right? But they did anyway, and the only source of funding they got was from the army. Yeah, interesting, right? So they founded the center, and their first important finding was that a fit person is physiologically different from an unfit person. And once you prove that, it changes everything about exercise. And then, of course, over time, they created a whole field of exercise physiology. Right? If you fast forward to today, exercise has 4 characteristics that I can identify. The first characteristic is everybody knows this is good for me. Right? There's no debate. Right? The second characteristic is everybody knows how to get fit. And if you don't know how to get fit, you will know a friend who does. And if you don't have friends who know how to get fit, you can find on the web. The information is everywhere. The third characteristic of exercise is people can do it at work because companies recognize this is good for my bottom line. Right? And the fourth characteristic is it's taken completely for granted. Right? Nobody even imagined a time where exercise is not known to be beneficial to everybody. It's completely taken for granted. Right? And one of the manifestation of taken completely for granted is if you tell your friends you're going to the gym, nobody look at you strange. Nobody thinks you're like some guy from Berkeley or something. Those of you from Bay Area know what I'm talking about. So I want to create a society or a world where these 4 characteristics also apply to meditation. Right? Everybody knows, no debate, this is good for me. They know how to do it, or they can find out very easily. They can do it at work because it's good for the bottom line, and taken completely for granted. Okay? These 4 characteristics. So, having this thought, I spent a couple of months exploring how do I do this in the workplace setting. So we experimented a couple of things. I experimented with MBSR. So I met John Kabat-Zinn, and we brought MBSR to Google, and it was effective. I learned one lesson from there, which is that in a situation or in an environment like Google, there are a lot of people who wear their stress as a badge of honor. You see, I'm so stressed. Oh, I'm so busy, I'm almost going to die. You know? And they say it's a good thing, and people go like, ooh, you're going to die, or something. you crazy? You know? So if you tell those people that there's a stress reduction class, some percentage of them will say, yeah, I have to go, I don't want to die. Right? And then there's some percentage, no, I can take it, I'm an engineer. Right? So there's only certain mileage. You can only go this far. So my epiphany is, let's not think about stress reduction. Let's think about success. What if we can create a curriculum that can help you success at work, helps you get your promotion, right? and it helps the company's bottom line primarily. And oh, by the way, it creates world peace, right? So it's the reverse, right? Customer focus. And the way I see it is upaya, skillful means. Focus on what they want, focus on what they need, help them succeed at what they want to succeed in, and let world peace, compassion, inner peace be the byproduct. That is the only way it's going to work. And then again the question, how do I do that? What is the vehicle? And I figured that out. I figured out so there's a long story, but I was going to meet Daniel Goleman. And because he's a friend of a dear friend of a dear friend. And I figured, since he's a dear friend of a dear friend, by courtesy, I should at least read his book before I meet him. Right? And the book was called Emotional Intelligence. And I read the book, I said, oh my God, this is it. Right? Danny Goleman talked about emotional intelligence. The first distinguishing thing is he didn't say how. In his book, he never tells you how to develop it. Right? And I also realized, essentially, what he's talking about is mindfulness. In fact, for this audience, I would say, essentially, he's talking about Dharma. Dharma is a universal law. So therefore, I figured if we can secularize Dharma, secularize emotional intelligence, and add practices that are conducive to success, then we can create the vehicle. Right? So there's one other thing good about, a couple of good features about emotional intelligence. One is that it's pre-marketed. Right? What does that mean? It means everybody, even though they don't know what EI is, they know this must be good for my career. Everybody knows for some reason because it's already been marketed such. Another good thing about it is that, remember I talked about three features, inner peace, inner joy, and compassion. What I think was important to realize is that inner peace is only the beginning. I feel, and I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, just throw apples at me. I feel that inner peace alone does not bring about the conditions for world peace. You have to have inner peace that leads to inner happiness, that leads to compassion. And compassion, I think, is the direct cause for world peace on a global scale. And I feel that EI, emotional intelligence, is the vehicle that can bring you all the way there, from inner peace up to compassion. So that was a chosen vehicle. So then the next question is, okay, how do we do this? How do we create a curriculum? In Google, if we do not know how to solve a problem, it's very simple. You get the smartest people you know and just throw them into a room and say, solve this problem. And then you experiment. You try the first thing they come up with, and half of it will fail, and just keep trying. We call it launch and iterate. And we have a saying in Google, we call it launch early, launch often. Or fail early, fail often, depending on the audience. So we got Danny as our advisor, Mirabai Bush, and Norman Fisher, who most of you know, and me in the room. And then we just figured it out. And then there's another funny thing. When I was sitting with Norman Fisher and Mirabai Bush in a room, three of us, I realized that all three of us are radiant beings. Because Norman just radiated wisdom. Right? Mirabai radiated compassion. And I radiated body heat. Or something, I don't know. So if you put three radiant beings together, something good has to come out, right? So we did. We created a course. We call it Search Inside Yourself. And as usual, it started as a joke. So let's call it Search Inside Yourself. Everybody laughs. And again, if everybody laughs, that's the right thing to do, right? So we did that. The course has been running in Google for a couple of years, and it's been very successful. And I wrote a book about it. It will be published by HarperCollins in April. So look out for it. And I'll be showing you a couple of cartoons, and the cartoons are from my book. As you can already tell, I cannot write a book without humor and cartoons. It's just not me. So let me say, before I go into what Search Inside Yourself is, so that was what we experimented with, and we experimented with other things as well. For example, we created a course called Building Authentic Relationships. We created a course called the Neuroscience of Empathy. Right? So we combined a neuroscientist with myself, and one of us taught the science of the neuroscience of empathy. The other one taught the practice of empathy. And who taught which one? I leave it as an exercise for the reader. Okay. Nobody laughed at that one. And we also experimented with something called the School of Personal Growth. So when we started what we call Google University back then, so we didn't have a corporate university for a very long time, until 2008. 2008, we started a corporate university. We didn't want to be just another corporate university where people come and learn PowerPoint, right? So what if we can do more than that? So we experimented with the idea of creating a school of personal growth. And I read you the mission statement. It's very cool, I think. The mission statement is to bring out the best in Google and Googlers by developing Googlers as whole human beings and helping them reach their full potential on all levels: mental, physical, emotional, and beyond self. We say beyond self because we cannot say spiritual. Yeah. So there were a couple of reorgs after that because the company grew big and then we merged other teams. So the experiment of a separate school as itself sort of faded away. It's now like distributed throughout the new Google University. We call Google EDU. So, but that thing is, the experiment is still going on. It's an evolving story. So what I just told you is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of the story of Google and mindfulness. And the most recent thing we do is we founded a conspiracy. So a couple of us from Google EDU and the talent team and the chef and so on and so forth, we came together and we call ourselves the Compassionati. Like Illuminati, compassion. Yeah. So we're trying to create a conspiracy to bring wisdom practices company-wide. And so watch out for more of the story as time goes on.